Welcome to the Soul Star Podcast with your spiritual besties, Allie and Mandy. We're here to make your spiritual journey fun, relatable, and inspiring. So let's raise your vibe and ignite your soul together.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Star Podcast. Thank you again for joining us for another week. Today we have a special guest joining us. We have Melissa Spratt. She is a certified self-love coach and a mama and an author. So welcome, Melissa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It feels like I've known you both for a lifetime and like we're best friends. I've been listening to you for a while.
I love that
Aw.
so much. I just
Yes.
love that so much.
Love
Yes.
having listeners on who also have services and offerings and kind of work in this space because,
Mhm.
collaboration and helping and just understanding one another and hearing each other's stories is just so helpful. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
glad that you reached out.
Thank
Mhm.
you. I'm
Yeah.
honored.
Yay.
Do you want to? I was waiting for Allison to start, but she hesitated. I was looking at her, but we were going to ask, do you want to start? We always love to start with hearing about your journey. Do you want to share with us a little bit about, what brought you to the path of self-love and coaching and all of the beautiful things that you offer?
Yes. So we go all the way back, as we do in self-love, right?
Yeah.
Back to the childhood and the wounding.
Mm.
I was a very highly sensitive child. I felt very anxious. And I think for me, it was kind of feeling like those big emotions weren't really understood and validated. And, growing up in the 90s, mental health and just the way that our, parents grew up and the
Yeah.
generations before them, it's like unconscious parenting, right? So they didn't know, right? But for me, my emotions, my fears, my anxieties felt very big, very real.
Mhm.
And I think that just developed certain, coping mechanisms and a little bit of low self-worth. And as I moved on and like to preteen, I developed some friendships that kind of just they didn't really seem. I thought that I was special with them, but
Mm.
really, um, it was, I think, for a certain level of attention,
Yeah.
and it was actually really toxic, and I felt unsafe. So
Mm.
now here I am again, feeling unsafe and the emotions and who I
Yeah.
am. And eventually this steamrolled into an eating disorder. And
Mm.
in eating disorder, control and safety, that's a protective part, right? So I struggled with that for a very long time. And one thing I always knew though was that I did want to help myself. I really
Mm.
did, even though the struggle was so hard. And so I did get various levels of, therapy and treatments and even headed into college. I had a support team. And that's also where I met my husband. So it wasn't until I would say mm, my 30s that like then, I was married, I had a miscarriage, and it was like I felt like maybe I didn't really truly I recovered in some way, but I feel like I wasn't really fully healed in mind, body, spirit. And so
Yeah.
then I got another kind of team to support me, like with nutrition and acupuncture and therapy. And miscarriage for me was it was definitely, I would say, the first of my more spiritual awakenings.
Mm.
Um, yeah, during that time, that's when I started meditating. And actually, that's when I connected with my rainbow baby, who is here today. Um,
Wow.
and started, yeah, developing my meditation practice. So all of these like experiences, the solution was always self-love. And I kept,
Mm.
developing different skills like meditation and writing, like journaling and writing through different therapies. And um this is very long, but then that led me to what I did have my daughter. So we were able to conceive and have our rainbow baby, and of course in the height of the pandemic.
Oh,
But
mhm.
that was really hard for me as someone that was highly sensitive. And
Yeah.
we felt very isolated, and I was very overwhelmed that I wasn't really taking care of myself. And then there were just these pings all of a sudden, to start to focus on self-care, and I started to slowly but surely. And also there was this ping that I had about I had written poetry throughout like the last decade or so.
Mm.
And I had this intuitive hit to write a poetry collection. So then I published that.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
which was like, courage and fear. I had no idea what I was doing. But what I will say again is like in all of this, all of my journey, all the live experiences, like the death, the rebirth, the most challenging of times, loss and grief, self-love was always a solution. It always comes back to self-love
Mm.
and self-trust and self-care, right? And
Yeah.
so I realized in this that my mission, my soul work, is to empower others with self love. And so
Mm.
I found myself a couple years ago on Google, how to become a self love coach. I didn't act on it until a year later, but I
Yeah.
kept hearing it. And I was like, hmm. And I was, doing the self love workbooks. And now I am officially certified. I've started seeing
Mm.
clients. I'm writing my children's book on body love and self-love, and it really is, it's deep work. It's
Yeah.
very deep work. It's not very surface level because there can be a misconception about that. It is shadow work. It is developing your intuition, right? And
Yeah.
self-trust and moving through old stories and beliefs and wounds. So it's been a journey and I want to empower others on this journey because it has a ripple effect. It really does.
Mm.
I'm healing myself. I also then help to heal and be, the best mom and wife and friend and all my other roles and identities, right? And
Hmm.
then if I'm fully in my worth and self-love, that has a magnetic effect on others. And when I coach and guide clients, then, it just keeps having a ripple effect. So I'm very passionate about
Absolutely.
it. And this is how
Absolutely.
I've ended up here.
I love that so much. I'm like, it always seems like such a simple concept, like when you kind of say it because it gets thrown around so much. But it's not a simple concept. It's so hard. I think Mandy and I talked about that one time where I'm like, do you think anybody could fully 100% completely love themselves without any reservations? Like it's really it's so many nuances to it, and like you said, it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go take a bath, or I'm gonna go to the spa. It's like there's the shadow work is deep, the limiting beliefs are deep, like there's so much to shed that affect how we view ourselves and how we love ourselves, right? Our self-worth. And so I absolutely, it's definitely heavy work. And I also agree that, oh my God, I think if people truly loved themselves, like how they would show up in partnerships, in friendships, in the world, right? We have a very dense world of a lot of hate, and I think a lot of that is all like if we loved ourselves fully, we would show up completely different for everybody around us, right?
Mm.
I think
Yep.
that brings us back to your true form and soul, right? Like your true form and soul is like love. It's just pure love. So you're kind of bringing people back to that pure part of themselves.
One of the beliefs I've been working on this summer, when actually my daughter started having some anxiety, we went and navigated through a lot of loss in the family. And, becoming 5, there's a certain level of awareness. And then I was seeing, okay, now I'm seeing my own daughter is a little bit
Oh.
highly sensitive. And so it was like a mirror. And when this happened, my own wounds started to surface that I thought were like, I worked on those.
Yeah.
So I have been doing so much parts work and really connecting to all parts of me and versions of me and reframing that belief of brokenness into wholeness. So I feel like the theme of wholeness has been coming up a lot for me. It's like we are whole. Like we are whole
Mm-hmm.
and we are one.
Mm-hmm.
We are one like with the universe. We're connected to each other as humans and our experiences, right? And we are whole. We're not broken. The parts of us that we might have shame around, or we hide those ones, or we don't say it out loud. um they're actually just protecting us, and they need something. They just want to be heard. Like, see me, like I need some I you need they need something. And what is it? And usually it's like compassion, acceptance, love.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the process of getting certified to be a self-love coach? Do you work with
Mhm.
a mentor? Is it like, what was your process to be?
My
Yeah.
Yeah, because in coaching there is not a lot of regulation, but the
Mm.
specific process I went through was with the self-love lifestyle. Melissa, she heads it up. She's based out of Maine, and she was actually one of the first to have like a self-love program.
Oh.
And it's also um, ICF accredited. So that is like the only regulation that exists. So your education credits can get applied toward the ICF.
Mm.
And so that was, I applied online, but I also, well, here's another thing, signs, synchronicities, intuitive hits. So, I was on Google and then um, I don't know how I came across. So I think I saw the self-love lifestyle, and then I started following Melanie and this program on Instagram and connecting with her, and I like joined her visioning workshop, and she did some lives. And just like with both of you, I really, when I have magnetic aligned relationships, I like to, in the Instagram space, I will connect with you. And, if there's something really vibing with me or whatever. And so for whatever reason, I was drawn to her and her
Yeah.
program. And one of the lives she did, she was pulling oracle cards, her own deck actually.
Mm.
And I said, it's like, am I meant to be a self-love coach? And she's shuffling it. The card comes out and it says self-love.
I love that
I
so
said,
much.
okay,
You're like,
like
get out of
it's
here.
clear. It's so clear. And I know, I mean, I saw her shuffle it. It was not like she's the self-love teacher and she's pulling out the self-love
Yeah.
card, but like literally I saw her shuffle it and it flew out.
Mm.
Um, and so I officially applied to the program, and it was 6 months.
Mm.
And yeah, we within that, we do a lot of our own work. We do a lot of coursework, and then we also coach each other. And then we are encouraged to practice not only with the other woman in the cohort, but outside of that. And so as
Mhm.
part of that is required to get your certification.
Mm. I love
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
I love learning.
Me too.
So when there's so many different like aspects of this work that can bring you to understand yourself at a deeper level, like more at that soul level. And everybody's root is a little bit different. So learning a little bit more about the self-love, like clearly that's something that speaks to you and is part of your path. And like you said, everything that you're doing and the people that you're working with is creating a ripple effect, whether you know it or not, or whether you understand it, or how big it could be. I admire anybody that's like putting themselves out there to do the good work, right?
Hmm.
Mm.
And I will
Mhm.
say I live it and breathe it. So what I'm doing is also like going to serve my clients. I really am drawn to, and I focus a lot on nervous system regulation and self-care. Um, that is like a core foundation. So being regulated, bringing in a
Yeah.
little bit of somatics and breath work and heart coherence. And like that's a part of my program and what I like to bring into it. Um, and I like to offer some visualization meditations as well. So
Mhm.
it's the stuff that, I've done for myself and works, but also you have to tap into the different tools and tailor it to who you're coaching and what works for them and what they're experiencing too.
Yeah, so I imagine when you have a client, every client's different and everybody struggles with different aspects or um, aspects of self-love, like different challenges regarding self-love. So you must have to tailor your program for each client a little bit differently. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, I have the foundation, I
Mhm.
have a workbook, but within that, there's so many self-love tools, exercises. Um, right now I have a client and we're focused a lot on parts work, which again, I
Mhm.
was just doing a lot of that work. So I'm able to really have a good pulse on it and know how to bring in that. So maybe I do a parts meditation for this person,
Mm.
instead of, you know, so I'm trying to think of what else I might do. But yeah,
Mhm.
I tailor it.
Yeah, because we're all going to have our different parts, like what triggers me or my own insecurities is going to be different than what Mandy, and that was something like, obviously
Yeah.
Mandy and I coming together and working together, we could clearly see like her strengths and confidence. I started off very insecure and not sure of myself in this whole like realm, and I'm like, ooh. And then as like we would teach and get different students coming in, you would see these differences or these themes. You would see the student that was like me, that was like, oh my God, I don't trust myself, I don't know if I can do this, like what am imposter syndrome, like all of the things. And then you would see students that embodied what Mandy kind of embodied, or there was just like there's so much, and you start to see how and there's kind of like, I don't know, like blueprints in a way. Like I
Hmm.
feel like with how many students we've seen, there's kind of like this blueprint. Like you're kind of like, oh, okay, I know where you kind of sit or fall. Like you're kind of needing more of this, and then like somebody else comes in, and you're like, oh, okay, I see you. I'm like, you need a little more of this, and it's like, but
Yeah,
it's kind of that repetitive where I'm like, oh, it's fascinating. I find it
Mhm.
it is.
fascinating.
And I think also it's interesting to bring in astrology and human design into it and seeing like, oh, what
Mhm.
are your big three? What's your human design? I'm not an expert, but I've been doing the work a while. So I'm
Yeah.
able to interpret and know the energies and
It
what
gives you an
needs
idea,
support.
right? Like,
Yeah, you the
yeah,
imprint. Like there is an
yeah,
energetic imprint.
yeah. Whenever I'm very much, I get not an astrologer, but I do a lot of self discovery with it to understand it
Mhm.
and follow accounts. And for sure, when I'm like, I'm totally now that person that it's like, what are your top three? Like, I
Yeah.
really do want to know, because and then it reminds me of a reel that Mandy and I did. You remember that, Mandy, where it was like, what's your sun sign? And it was like, why do you want to know? And it because you're
Oh, I
like,
remember that one.
you
That's
remember
so
now?
funny.
And it was like, tell me. And so I'm like, it's so true though, because I'm like, I find
Oh my
myself doing
gosh.
it now. And then it was somebody at work, I was like, oh, like what's your, and I forget what it was, but she said it, and oh, I don't even remember. I think it was like Pisces and Scorpio. Like there was a ton of water and a ton of like, and I was like, whoa. And then she was like, what? And I was like, whoa.
Oh, wait,
That's heavy.
I can hear somebody saying, what does that mean, top three? So just to make it
Oh
clear,
yeah,
sun,
yeah.
your sun, moon, and
Oh,
rising signs in astrology. That's what we're
Oh
talking about.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
your
yeah.
sun sign?
yes.
What's your moon
Moon
sign? What's your
sign.
rising sign?
Oh
Top
yeah, we
three.
didn't clarify that. The big three.
We're just like going off about it. I
Wait,
know.
and Ali,
So
what you said about the watery person, like that's me
I
too. Like
know
That's
it's
you.
crazy.
so she's had got experience
Oh,
with me, so she's like, well, I can't do another. I
I'm
can't do.
like, I can't handle
you're
this.
water, water. What
I
are
just like,
you, Allison?
I am Gemini,
Oh,
Sag, and Libra rising.
wow. Wow,
See,
lots of
I'm a good
signs
one.
there.
I'm a
Interesting.
good one.
I'm going. What are
I'm
you? What?
well
I'm
balanced.
well balanced.
Yeah, you're ballot. I am triple Earth.
Oh
Oh, you're
wow.
so grounded. So you have a Taurus?
Taurus sun. And
Uh,
by the way, it's interesting because my daughter, she's 2 days apart from me, so she is also a Taurus sun. But her moon is in Aries, I believe. So she's like got a
Ooh.
different fire. Whereas I'm a Taurus sun, a Virgo rising. So that's like my organization and yeah, you know. And
My
a
kids, you're,
Capricorn moon.
oh,
Oh, hard
Although
worker.
sometimes I don't know if
holy
I
crap.
resonate with the Capricorn
No,
moon, but I don't
that's
know.
so funny. Those are like intense. Like, because like Taurus, my son, my youngest is a Taurus, my oldest is
Uh-huh.
a Virgo. And and they always kind of say with like the Gemini, the air, that they don't mesh well. I was like, okay, well, why'd you put me with a bunch of earth signs? And
They
and then
ground
like,
you.
but they
They
do, they ground,
they
right?
ground
Like,
you.
They're grounding you and they're teaching you.
Yeah.
Well, you could be teachers for each other.
Totally, but it's so true. Like I can see like, yeah, like the stubbornness, then the organization, like, no, this is what we need to, like, they're so pinpoint. And then yeah, the Capricorn is very much like that driver, that like go-getter, that,
Yeah.
type of thing. So interesting.
But I do work a lot now with water to help kind of balance it out. So
Mm.
water like in the bath and shower, like a morning, especially with my energy, doing like my spiritual rituals are an energetic kind of cleanse.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the morning while I'm doing my cleanse, I talk to my spirit baby, my spirit
Yay.
team, guides and ancestors and my goddesses. And I'm
I
like,
love
the
that.
archangels. I'm like, thank you for protecting me.
You're
Thank you.
like, bring it in, bring it in.
Yes.
I'm curious if you feel like you're more in your divine masculine or feminine or balanced.
I used to be more in my divine or in my masculine.
Mm.
I now I'm balancing that a lot more.
That's us. Yeah. Because I could see that in the
Yeah.
earth signs, that it would kind of, as that blueprint, it would kind of push you into that more divine masculine kind of state of like getting things
Do.
done, do, right?
Yes, that
Hmm.
is true. And so definitely working harder, right, to be compassionate with myself, to rest.
Yeah.
But I now understand my energy a lot more
Hmm.
and how I do get drained. So for me, it's like a lot of micro breaks and, bring in a mini meditation or something during the day or a check-in. And there is that part, especially of like Taurus, like I'm very connected to my five senses and beauty and like
Mm.
sensory and like so that's a very and that's kind of like the goddess energy I always like to embody for my higher self. So there
Mm.
is like a very feminine, there's still
Aspect.
that feminine connection
Yeah.
to
Because they like the
even with the earth.
softness and like the,
Yes.
all of that comfort part. Food. Every time I see a Taurus like
Home.
reel,
Oh,
or when they like are when they're imitating a Taurus, they always have food, and I was like, why is there always food? And and it was like, yeah, they seem to. If you watch any like
oh.
astrologer,
I'm
and
not,
they do, you, anytime it goes past the Taurus, it's like the Taurus is walking and like eating something, because, and I was like, I didn't understand, so we asked an astrologer who was on the podcast, and she was like, oh, it's because of the senses. So Taurus, and it just becomes a
oh.
default as that kind of like, known for, is like liking the food, and like, and my son, he likes his food. So I was like, okay, I get it. I
I
get it.
feel like just being a homebody, like loving your home and blankets.
Well, see, Mandy's a Cancer, and that definitely is
Oh,
like, she's like, I see her as like the homebody, the blankets, the softness, all of that.
Yeah.
What's your moon sign again, Mandy?
Pisces.
oh.
Well, don't give me that face.
Both of us,
No,
both of us.
Pisces is
She's
very
talking. No,
powerful.
she's talking to me because I did
Yeah.
this.
Oh,
She was disgusted that I was in Pisces mood.
Cancer,
I
Sun,
love
Pisces,
that.
Moon. She's a
You are
Libra
very
rising.
emotional.
She's
Oh my
very
Yeah,
emotional.
goodness.
I know.
I am emotional.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that's
on an
okay.
airplane and I just fly around.
Allie's perfect business partner should be somebody super earthy because she's air.
Because I'm like this.
Yeah, somebody needs to ground her.
I need
Well,
someone to
let's do
grab
some
me and
collabs
pull
here.
me down. I love
Oh,
it. It's so funny.
Okay, but back to self-love.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, wow. But
See, this is what
it's all
happens.
connected. There's so many aspects of self-love and understanding your energy and your imprints, and that is also very important.
Yeah,
Right?
it
It's so
really is.
true. It's so true.
Mhm.
Understanding your blueprint, I think, like I don't know, like I've really have been like focusing on like understanding like the astrology a bit more just for myself.
Mhm.
Even numerology just for myself, just to kind of like understand. And when you start to understand it and read and learn a bit more about that blueprint that you kind of came into this lifetime with, you start to kind of have more compassion for yourself
Yeah.
because you're like, oh my God, like that totally makes sense. Okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. It's so good to do that,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about self-love.
Do
Yeah.
it.
I'm wondering, so with the people that you have coming, like your clients and stuff like that, do you see like a theme or a commonality between like certain blocks and stuff that
Mm-hmm.
people have towards self-love or experiencing self-love? Like what would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, number one, it's always, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. We have there's a lot of themes of perfectionism, people pleasing,
Mm. Jeez,
around worthiness.
it's all me.
Yep. Not being,
I'm in therapy.
not being perfect enough, being a
Yeah.
failure.
Oh,
Um,
So those
it's
would be
and
all
then,
all
me.
like limiting beliefs. So I guess the most common block for self-love is limiting beliefs. Would you say whether it's I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough or the people pleasing part, like those would be all considered as limiting beliefs. So then I guess you specifically work on one or two limiting beliefs. Is that how it works?
Mm.
yeah, so when we start working together, so first of all, like, because this is deep work, we always are making sure like you're doing things where you're staying regulated and grounded. And and when we do the work, we start to work on the beliefs. So when we think of beliefs, these are our filters to the world. These are everything that has been imprinted in you, especially in childhood, but from everyone, right?
Yeah.
Family, friends, society. And so your lens of the world is through these beliefs. So if you have these beliefs of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, it's going to affect how you move through the world.
Mhm.
So we do focus on those beliefs. There tend to be a couple themes, right? So we'll then work on starting to reframe and create shifts there.
Mm.
Um, and try to gain perspective on it. We also like to take a look at it from like an ancestral generational way of saying, okay, especially when you go back into childhood, it's like here I am, and you say, well, my parents and grandparents, they grew up and all this stuff was going on around them, and then, they formed these certain beliefs that then ended up with me. Um, And so, like, what does that mean? And for me, like when I've been doing the work, I've come to more of a place of neutrality versus like blame or shame because I have more
Mm.
of an understanding and compassion for like the environments and different times that people lived.
Yeah.
And so that's why then it's like here we are, the self-love coach and this client that has made this choice to say, I'm gonna break this pattern. Like here I am. Um, And what are you going to what patterns are you going to break, but also what do you want to bring forward? And we like to look at the strengths, your gifts, what you're going to carry forward. So I say, also a lot of my clients we're carrying the invisible load, a lot of we're carrying the weight, we're carrying energy. So very much it's
Mm.
about shifting from carrying it all to consciously creating it all,
Mm.
being
Mhm.
intentional, being so intentional with our choices. And so a part of my program is also connecting to inner child and
Mm.
finding joy in your day. And a lot of the times it's, especially with self-care, it's those micro rituals. It's the little things that are like a couple minutes that add up in your day, and those little choices. Like today, I mean, you could see my background here. I literally saw a sunset in these colors of pink and purple. And I was like, I took a moment and I sat with it. And then it inspired me to write a poem at breakfast. So I wrote a little poem
Oh, I love
before
that.
everyone woke up. And yeah, it was just being intentional. And you know what? That helped me because the rest of my day, I will say, was stressful. And I
Mhm.
had to keep coming. I did come back to myself at the end of the day, but it helped me set the tone for the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I know I got a
Absolutely.
little bit off track there, but I will say we do start with belief work
In all of
Mm-hmm.
that.
and self-forgiveness, which is a tough concept and to talk about, but self-forgiveness and self-acceptance, those are the foundation pieces. So we really need to start there to move
Mm.
forward into other things like talking about self-care and finding joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think I just want to touch on the self-forgiveness part because Ali and I have talked about how forgiveness is actually one of the things that you can do to start shifting and raising your vibration. So
Hmm.
whether that's forgiveness of others or forgiveness of yourself, that is actually an integral piece of raising your vibration and healing. So it's lovely to hear that that's actually a foundational piece of the self-love work that you do and that this every other certified person is doing too because that's a huge piece of the
Yes.
puzzle that a lot
Hmm.
of people don't fully truly understand. Like we can say forgiveness, 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 but like can you actually forgive? And that's a harder thing to do than to say, right?
Hmm.
So that was like the number one step in the self-love roadmap as I was taught. And when you look at it, you're saying, okay, hurt, recognizing and you're choosing a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hurt people hurt people. And for example, if it's forgiving someone else, you might forgive, but you might decide, well, it's not okay still. And maybe you have boundaries around that relationship. Maybe you don't
Mm.
have a relationship, but it's sometimes about letting go of that resentment and everything that you continue to carry with you and live with. It's
Mm-hmm.
like recognizing, I'm going to choose this new perspective. I'm going to release this. I'm going to forgive. It might not be that it was acceptable, or maybe it's like if it's, thinking about one of your own experiences, like, you know what? I did what I knew at the time to be the best with what I had.
Yeah.
Or you were only, maybe it was a child, right? So it's just letting go, releasing that resentment, choosing a new perspective. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say it's one of the hardest
Mm-hmm.
parts of self-love is the self-forgiveness part
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
forgiveness of others. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
it takes a lot of
Um,
work.
I was curious I think you kind of described it at the beginning, but how do you describe self-love? Like when somebody's like, I need to work on self-love. I don't, I know like for Ali, for example, you said like I need to work on self-love, but like how would
Hmm.
you as a coach describe what that means? Like what is self-love?
Hmm. Well, the foundations of self-love, I can say, is self-forgiveness, self-trust, self-care, self-gratitude, self-acceptance. So those are some of the core pieces of
Mm.
it. And I also think self-awareness because that's also the first part. Really, you have to be aware to make
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
But oh, that's good. How could I define it? Because it's so
I think it's more like a
intense. It's so,
well, and I feel like it's more, maybe we can't describe it in a couple sentences, but maybe it's more of a embodiment or more of a feeling that somebody achieves when they, are good with self-love. Do you know what I mean?
And accepting. I like the accepting of
I think
self,
it's
you know?
yeah, it's like you are it's really it's very much self-acceptance and self-compassion. And
Mhm.
it's well, the other thing I say is so self-love, number one, is never a destination. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a journey. It's always a journey.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I could say, I think there's no one like definition,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
depends on the person, right?
I
Because
feel
I
like
think
that,
Yeah,
it
like
yeah.
what is,
really,
and I actually ask that of a client when they come in. I said, what does self-love mean to you?
Mm.
mm-hmm.
I do
Yeah.
ask that. And, you know, for me, it's like it is being a conscious creator in my life.
Hmm.
And it could be like finding joy every day or being able to find that self-compassion, or it can shift and move and expand, I guess
Yes.
Yeah.
is what I could
And
say,
it
because
will.
yeah,
Well,
it's like a
Ellie,
rainbow.
What
Mm-hmm.
does self-love mean to you?
I think self-love for me is the full acceptance of myself, right? So it's not the acceptance when this
Hmm.
happens, right? It's the fully embodying the acceptance of myself and being good with myself. So like I've always struggled with like self-image, weight has always been a struggle, and I can clearly, when you talk about like connecting that back to like our lineage and our our mother's mother, and when I was on the spiritual awakening, that epiphany kind of came to me where it was like, oh my gosh, like my mom was the way that she was to me because her mom was the way and her mom was the way, and there was this kind of forgiveness in a way because it was like she's only adopted what her mom saw the world, and I was able to kind of like let unhook that a bit, right, from mom, because her and I have a bit of a um it's a bit of like a I don't know. I find like I get very triggered if she talks about anything to do with my weight or anything like that because of the upbringing. Um, and and now it's kind of like, okay, like there's acceptance and forgiveness in the sense that that's all she knew, and that that's what she's dealing with, and just because there are parents doesn't mean that they're on this pedestal and they're above all. That's what you kind of think, I think, as a kid, right? You're above all of this, you should know. But one thing it made me think of when you were talking about this, because it's something I have dealt with my whole life, is sometimes I'm like, God, can some of these things be so tightly ingrained and like clenched in there? So even though I am so aware of all of that, I'm aware that my mom's views and how I see the pattern, I see it all.
Mhm.
But sometimes I sit there and I'm like, oh my God, but I feel like the claws are so deep in there. My automatic perception is just like, oh yeah, but she's overweight, like, and so sometimes I wonder about that. Like, can we unravel that? Can we unhook that
I
at
feel
all?
like, well, I feel like that's where some of the somatic work comes in, when you say, Melissa, like some of the practices and the workbooks and the inner child work
Yeah,
and the breath work
yes.
and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
It's,
to get
yeah,
past
and
that.
if you, I mean, yes, because we can rewire our brains.
Mm,
We can. So it's a combination, I think, of a lot of work to it's energetic, it's mental, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's all of that, I feel like. And
yeah,
that does help us to make the shift. Yeah, I
it's
mean,
it can be
we could
so.
talk if you want to talk about self-love.
I know.
Would you like to?
Melissa's like, I need to get in there.
Let's rewire this.
Let's rewire. But I guess it is a rewiring, because that's what it feels like in my head. Because like you know how you have people say like, look in the mirror and like, talk to yourself, and you think, okay, is this as easy as just constantly saying to myself, no, I'm going to talk nicer to myself. But then you start to realize like, you can't unravel something so deep just by being like, it's not there, right? I'm just gonna pretend I love my body, and that's where sometimes I've sat there and gone, I wonder if that's something can even be rewired,
Yeah.
changed. And I like that you say rewired.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example which I was referencing before, how
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ones had surfaced for me, and when my daughter was having anxiety, and it was like we were like in these mirror parallel anxious like world. And some of these wounds were like going back, I think, to my eating disorder and my body,
Mm.
um, and feeling unsafe and broken there. And so it was like the belief of being broken and something wrong
Mm.
with me, that then I was thinking the same, oh my gosh, is my daughter, broken, and is she going to end up like me?
Oh.
So all the work I started doing, which is internal family systems parts work. So I worked with my own anxiety coach. I did somatics, which, I mean, and that now I have a deeper interest of exploring, because, and
Mm.
I'm working with a breathwork coach because it helped me bring back safety into my body during that time. And then I'm doing like a self-led inner child course. All the combination of the three led me to finally see all the parts of me and realize that I am not broken, I am whole. And I feel
Mm.
like I am very much like rewiring that belief that was in me
Okay.
so long ago, that had to come up and be cleared when this happened with my daughter. So it's been like since the summer I've been working that, but I am now rewiring that. And going back to self-love, it's like I feel like feeling whole and
Mm.
in your worth is,
Mm.
for me, that's one definition of self-love. But yes, it is
Mm.
possible. It is
Oh.
possible. And there is the expanded podcast, TBM Expanded, which talks a lot about rewiring, and I could send you more
Mm.
of the
Yeah.
science if you
Oh,
want to
I love the
start to
rewiring.
explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a
Yeah.
podcast is always a good way to get an introduction to concepts, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
start to self-learn there. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible. I
Oh,
do
it's so
truly believe that,
interesting.
and I do truly believe self-love is a solution. But it can
Yeah.
take time. It can take time.
Yeah. It's a lot of
Yeah.
And
unraveling.
something else I was thinking about is, when we come into this world, we are in our like purest essence of who we are in our soul. And
Mm.
then that goes away, right? All the conditioning, the beliefs. And self-love is also about reconnecting to like your purest essence and rediscovering, reconnecting with your authentic self.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then finding that piece of you again, your gifts, all the purpose work and who you are, and loving your authentic self.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, because you touched on like sensitive. So like you being very sensitive as a child. Mandy was very sensitive as a child. I was very sensitive as a child. And I think when you're sensitive as a child, you are tuned in even more so to the micro nuances that are happening around you. So you're so tuned into whether it's even about you or not, to like, oh, if you overhear somebody say something about somebody else, and then you like, oh, okay, that's not how you're supposed to be. Oh, okay, no, this is how. And that's where I found, and I realized, and Mandy and I were talking about that the other day, where it's like it didn't even have to be towards you, but if you're best friend or your idol is talking about somebody's weight or something, and you're constantly sitting there as a sensitive going like, it's like you're programming and being like, oh, okay, oh yeah, that's not good, no, that's not
That's
good,
not,
and
yeah,
that's over
good,
here
bad.
is, yeah. And as a child, if you've kind of been building it off of that, and especially being a sensitive where you pick up all of the things, and even just the energy, right? So if you've disappointed somebody, we're feeling it before they've even said it,
Feel it so much, yeah.
right?
And then you start playing it small, and then
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it's
start, yeah.
crazy. So I think it's even more important for people who do identify as being very sensitive being,
Mhm. Mhm.
type of thing. Now, Mandy, how do you define self-love for you?
Well, I liked your guys's
You
answer.
can't take it.
Well, I think it's like for me,
Trademark,
you're right.
Trademark.
trademark out.
I I
Love that
really
definition.
I really feel the acceptance, the self-acceptance piece of it. Like I feel like self-love is self-acceptance, and I also feel like it's happiness and joy with your, it's hard to explain, like
Being content with yourself,
yeah,
like
being content with,
mm,
where you're at, your decisions, like who your reality. Do you know what I mean? Being happy
Mhm.
within your present moment and being able to maybe connect even with your present moment, but being wholly yourself, like authentically you,
Yeah.
and being happy with who you are authentically and showing up authentically and then accepting yourself authentically. I feel like that to me would be
Mm.
self-love. And I think that's where a lot of people are headed to getting to, which is why I feel like Melissa's work is so important
Mhm.
to so many people. And I just want to say, like, as you were talking, Melissa, I was receiving this image of like in this kind of message about how some of us, many of us, are on this path of awakening and of healing. And on our path, we're going to be provided with an opportunity to be guided the next portion of the way. Almost even maybe a detour off the path into like a little healing hut. And in there, there's going to be a guide.
Mhm.
And those are the people like you, Melissa, and like you, Allison, where we're meant to work with specific people to just kind of give us a little bit of a time to do the healing work so that we can continue on to the path. But a lot of times we will walk past that opportunity. Ali and I were talking about this in the podcast today, where we're presented with an opportunity and we get to decide whether we're going to walk through that portal of opportunity or whether we're going to continue on
Mhm.
without taking that opportunity. But I feel like they're showing me again, like this path that we're on, somebody shows up in your path, you're meant to walk beside them. They're meant to guide you for a period of time. This is where we do some of the healing work. This is where we learn. This is where we connect deeper. It's a very important piece of the puzzle. And these teachers, these coaches, these mentors are coming to us at the proper time. So
Mhm.
paying attention to these opportunities and these people that are showing up in your life at the specific time and the synchronicities and the
Mhm.
signs and not being afraid, right? To move forward with that. But I just found that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. Like, you know,
I
we're your
love that.
guides walking with you for this period of time, and then
Yeah.
you'll carry on and another guide will show up. But it's all a part of the evolution and the ascension process.
Hmm. I love that. And I myself
Mhm.
have had my own coaches and guides and
Hmm.
mentors and teachers that do tend to show up, and the signs and synchronicities. Now that I am more attuned to my intuition through the
Yeah.
journey, and I've
Yeah.
been developing that, I see that now and I say, instead of, I used to have a lot of fear to say yes, and now I say yes because I know that is the right decision. And it is a choice. It is a choice, but ultimately
Mhm.
too, you are your own guide.
Hmm.
You are your own guide.
Yeah.
We're there to help you, but you have to go. You go inside,
Mhm.
Yeah.
go
It's a
into,
support.
tap in your intuition. But yes, that support to take you through
Yeah.
something,
This
process,
next
a
period, like
modality.
whatever it is that you're feeling called to heal or to work on or whatever, it's like here's your guide to support you through this process because we hold wisdom and information that you don't know yet until you go through it, right? So you're being
Mm,
guided to a specific person because they have the specific information and knowledge for your experience that you are ready to experience.
And
So
unlock, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Which is really crazy. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
Um,
beautiful.
to wrap this baby up, um, Melissa, where can people find you if they want to connect? And also, Melissa has a nice little offering for the listeners that is amazing.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
I love it.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. My user is Radiant Melissa Spratt, and my website is melissaforselflove.com. I empower you with self love. I help you go from carrying it all to
Mm.
consciously creating it all. And I do have an offer for listeners here. So the first 5 listeners to book from now through January 31st, 2026, will receive a free self love session with me
That's
for
Mm,
60
amazing.
minutes.
What? That's
thank
so
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Ali, you better book.
You're gonna take up one of the spots.
Do
That's
you
just
want to book?
mean
We could do an extra a bonus for you if you
for
want.
me. I know.
We could do a bonus.
So funny. I know. I
Yeah.
need it.
Well, Self-love. Yeah, self-love work is needed.
Mhm.
Now, I will say these sessions, they could look different for, it could be a topic of your choice, or maybe we, talk about some supportive rituals for your season. Maybe we talk one of your current beliefs or blocks and how to start to move through that. Maybe we look at, a dream goal, how to start manifesting that. So lots of ways
Yeah.
we can take it, and even 60 minutes can be super transformative.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll link
And like,
everything.
absolutely. Yeah, well, everything will be in the show notes. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you reaching out,
Yeah.
and kind of bringing this, topic to our listeners, and coming on and listening, obviously. Like, thank you for listening to the podcast. That's so awesome. But yeah, I loved it. It was a great conversation, and I
Mhm.
think it'll be very helpful for everybody listening today. So thank you.
Thank you. If there's one thing to take away, it's that self-love is the path. Remember
Mm.
that. And I've been listening to your podcast for a long time, and I love both of you, and
Mm.
that you're sharing your gifts with the world. So I appreciate you too.
Aw, thank you. All right. Well, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.